Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for being here today. I'm super excited for what we get to learn today. I just feel like we are in such a new space this morning. I don't know. I got up this morning and was doing my daily GPS, and I just felt like I had a quantum leap overnight. And I know part of it was the inspiration, the information that I was sharing in the masterclass yesterday, Reviving Hearts. And a lot of it was just new inspiration that I was receiving this morning. And I'm just feeling like this breaking open, almost like breaking out of a shell, like a bird, or maybe a moth, like a caterpillar breaking out of a cocoon after it's become a butterfly. That's probably the real feeling right here. And Laura, you're on the call here today, and you'll see the significance of that last infographic, or whatever, that last picture that we created with the caterpillar and the butterfly. I'm fully stepping into that. Like, I'm feeling like a butterfly today, just unfolding my wings and just shaking off the goo that I used to be. And wow, I'm feeling like other people are kind of in that same space. So we're going to just run with that and have our private silent meditation on gratitude for breaking open. And we'll see what comes up with that. I know that's going to be meaningful in different ways for each one of you. And just listen for that personal inspiration to come to you. Write down whatever comes to you. Gratitude for breaking open. 90-second private silent meditation. Begin. All right. I in the masterclass yesterday, when I was finishing, like about the last 20 minutes, I shared a new tool, a new prayer, and I'm going to be emailing that out to everyone today as I send out the replay to those who had registered for the call, or for the class, the masterclass, Reviving Hearts. And about the last 20 minutes, I was trying to give kind of some background or some foundation before I shared the prayer of the understanding that I had of why this prayer came about. And I felt like I did a not very good job. I just felt like it was really disjointed. I felt like I didn't come back around to the original thought that I shared. It just felt like I was just not myself during that last like 20 to 30 minutes. And I couldn't wait to get the recording uploaded so I could re-listen to it, because I was like, oh my gosh, I just, totally like blew it. And it was interesting. I went to the emotion of panic, and it reminded me I've had two other significant moments. One was the first solo that I ever sang in church. And as I walked down from the podium, I walked down and just kind of held it together until I got to my seat. And as soon as I got to my seat, I turned to my husband, I just buried my face and I just started sobbing because I thought I had just really blown it. And I got a lot of really good compliments afterwards, but I couldn't believe any of them because I thought I had done a horrible job. And then another time I was speaking, and I was invited to speak in a city that was about 3 hours away. And we were in this huge dinosaur museum, and I was standing beneath this huge Stegosaurus skeleton. It was like the coolest place ever to give a speech. And I thought I did the most horrible job. And I had this 3-hour drive home, and my husband was there, and another man that I had put this event together with. And they were just, and I was sobbing uncontrollably the whole 3 hours. And they could not console me because I just was like, no, it was horrible. And I couldn't let it go. And that was the same kind of feeling that came to me. But it just was such a testament of how far I've come, because I didn't dissolve into a puddle of goo of sobs. I was in this kind of panic state emotion for a while. And I started looking around frantically for who can I like cry on their shoulder. And I reached out to Laura, and I reached out to a couple of other people. And my daughter was supposed to be here to do something, and she wasn't answering the phone either. And I was like, in a total panic. And I went to my husband again. He's been there for me for all of these times. And he says, it probably wasn't that bad. And I actually believed him. And when I got the recording uploaded and re-listened to it, I was like, it wasn't that bad. And then I started getting the texts and the messages. And Amelia on the call this morning before we started the recording even told me that what I had shared was exactly what she needed to hear. And I realized that it was perfect. And the reason why it felt different and like it wasn't me is because it wasn't me. It was the Holy Ghost speaking through me, and they heard exactly what they needed to hear. And I said exactly what needed to be said. And I'm just so grateful for the growth, for that breaking open, allowing myself to be broken open, to just be laid out there for the world, and to have these experiences where I felt like I did horrible, have those experiences in the past to remind me of the progress that I made. And I'm really, really grateful that now I can allow God to speak through me or sing through me or whatever the case may be, and to allow it to not be me, and to for it to be perfect according to his purposes. Who else has something they would like to share? Patsy.
So one of my additions to my vision board are the words "open up." Mm-hmm. And I think when I was thinking about the breaking open and the process of the butterfly, and oh my gosh, that we leave our goo behind, that is like, that needs to just be a quote on every bumper sticker. Just leave the goo behind. Because really we need to ourselves be open versus, just breaking open. I mean, once we break open, the act of breaking is like this big fight. But the words that I put on my vision board quite some time ago was open up. It's different than being open. Mm-hmm. Being open is just being receptive to just anything going around. But when we open up, we allow ourselves to share out. But the word up also lets us know that we're opening for, heavenly guidance. I like to visualize that when we have, blinders on, like the horse, there's a purpose for the blinders so that the horse doesn't get scared or spooked and can stay on the path and usually do the work that the horse is supposed to do. And when we focus on the one answer, like if we're manifesting that we want this specific exact desire, and we visualize and we kind of force it in one way, sometimes it's a force, it's a hard, that this has got to be the solution. This is the solution I came up with, so this is what I want. And really what we're doing is we're putting our blinders on to the heavenly possibilities. So when we take those off and when we are available to God's answer, the possibilities are just infinite. There is such a beautiful world. We're only seeing part of the picture, part of the puzzle. And when we break open and open up to what God has in store with us, there are so many workarounds than what we've already figured out. And being open and receptive, it's kind of like this release. You can stand a little bit taller. You know that God's on your side. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like. You have these specific desires, but you're open to what really He has in store for you. That there's a better way that we have no clue about. And the reception of that and the transformation, but we have to do the work inside. So I really love that, because we have to be ready. We have to take our own blinders off. We have to get out of the cocoon and do kind of that fight and that workout and be receptive for that opening up. So yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, when we break open, I love what you're saying, that it allows us to share out, but also allows us to receive in. That's super powerful. And this adds more to what I was learning about in my daily GPS this morning too. And that kind of started with the call yesterday, is breaking open the quantum field that surrounds our perception of what Earth life is here, what Earth life is like, and breaking that open to see more of God's perspective and stepping up into godliness is what I talked about on the call yesterday. And I see this visual of the cocoon and the butterfly, even more, because as a caterpillar, you're earthbound. You're on the earth, you're down in the dirt. You're like, the only thing you can see is the underneath sides of leaves. You're like as low can be. And then you crawl up and build this cocoon around you. And when you're free, there's no more, you can go touch down on the ground if you want to, but I don't, and I do see butterflies on the ground, but usually it's just after they've broke open is when I see them on the ground. Usually they're up on a flower, or they're up, floating around in the air or whatever. So they have really broken open a totally new field of view for themselves. They're up in that higher space, which is really, what we want. We want to get up into that higher space of godliness to be able to see from that perspective. Thank you. Lots of really awesome thoughts. Laura, and then Rachel.
So, I was thinking along the same lines in a way that, when the butterfly emerges from the cocoon, the world hasn't changed. But he has, right? So when we emerge, the world, it's exactly the same, but we're different. And because we're different, everything is different. And the other piece of that was that we don't break open. So the butterfly, right, the little caterpillar builds a cocoon, right? And the cocoon protects it as it becomes goo. And then all of its DNA rearranges and it becomes a butterfly. And it's still in this protective cocoon. And then the cocoon breaks. So the cocoon breaks and the butterfly emerges, and it's a slow process, right? And we know, from second grade, from watching second graders, do this, you can't help the butterfly emerge. Because if you help the butterfly emerge by breaking the cocoon, the butterfly will never fly. The butterfly will die. So that breaking process isn't in the butterfly. It's in the protective cocoon that was around him. So I felt like that was something else that occurred to me I wanted to share.
Yeah, I appreciate that, that additional piece. The thought that came to me as you were talking about like the DNA being rearranged, the butterfly doesn't even eat the same things. Like it's a totally new being when it emerges from that cocoon. And there is a certain amount of choice. I know that, as far as a butterfly and a caterpillar goes, it's kind of like part of the life cycle, and they're just like drawn to climb up and build this cocoon. But there's a certain amount of choice. Do I remain a caterpillar and constantly just like be rooting around on the ground, trying to keep myself away from the birds and, trying to find my food on the ground? Or do I go to the effort to climb up a little higher and build that cocoon around myself and give myself the choice to totally rearrange my DNA to create a whole new identity where I maybe even eat completely different things, that my eyes and my, body and my everything is completely new and different, and maybe a little hard to get used to at the first, or whatever. Do I allow that process to happen? I mean, that was really significant to realize this is a complete DNA rearrangement, like you said. And
sorry. Huh?
I just said we get to choose it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And what occurs to me as you're saying that is we only get to choose it before we get in the cocoon, right? So there's kind of stages of this. So once we're in the cocoon, we always have a choice. So we can break the cocoon up and come back out. But what will we be, right?
Yeah.
Because
we're no longer a caterpillar at that point.
We're no longer a caterpillar and we're no longer a butterfly. And to me, that's soul death. That's when, our soul can't really die, but, that's when we, you see people just wither up.
It's when you have a heart attack because you really should be a butterfly and you're still trying to be a caterpillar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, lots of cool stuff. And see that Rachel has her hand raised, but she did say that she's got kids to take care of. So Rachel, whenever you're ready, you just unmic and, open your mic and we'll listen to you. Tyree.
That's why it's so important to have the right mentors, because if you don't have the right mentors who see you for who you are and what you are, then sometimes it's like it's so painful. Yesterday I had this insignificant but so painful experience, and like my soul is hurting, and then I think about how whenever I work with you and Laura, it feels so like you guys see my soul even when nobody else does, and I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that. I think there are a lot of mentors who can get you into the cocoon. I think there are a lot of mentors that can inspire you to make that choice, to make a change. I don't think that there's a lot that can carry you through the whole process and be there, standing there waiting when you emerge as a butterfly. So thank you. I take that as a huge compliment, Tyree, that you would put me in that category, and Laura. And I absolutely agree with her about Laura as well.
Thank you. And Wileen, that was so inspired to think about those two, like how mentors work in those two areas. And yeah, it's so true. You and I are like, let's deal with the goo,
Yes.
and I see you in there. And yeah, it's just so true. And Tyree, you are a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
You are so incredible. So and everyone I've gotten to know that's on this call, it's so clear to me, So yeah.
We definitely see the butterfly. Definitely. Thank you. Rachel?
I am so grateful for all of you. This is a beautiful call this morning. I feel a really large sense of set free. I am set free. And I guess a bird came to me that I am just flying away. And I've been in the cocoon for a long time, working really hard to work with the Savior to change my DNA and get ready for this flight. But I really feel in my heart that He's reached the deepest parts of my soul, and He's shined light on the darkness, and He has healed me, and I am set free.
Wow, beautiful. I'm going to re-listen to that and write that down. That was super powerful what you shared. I'm so glad that you were able to share that. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Betsy says, a scripture that God gave me a couple days ago that has been so perfect, 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10. And He, meaning the Lord, said to me, meaning Paul, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Wow, so powerful. When we're in that cocoon, when we're at our weakest, most vulnerable point in our infirmities, He's there with us, and we can glory in that, because that's when He's carrying this. It's like the footprints in the sand where there's only one set of footprints. It's because He's carrying us. We're in that cocoon right then. Thank you. So beautiful. Colleen.
I was just thinking about how monarch butterflies are led to a place they've never been before the whole time they've been alive. And throughout their journey, there's just no judgment. And we judge a lot ourselves and other people. And yet, if we just honored ourselves and honored other people, there wouldn't be any heaviness. We would just recognize that this is somebody I should travel with, or this is somebody that somebody else should travel with, and it's okay with us, So much of it is just a draw to God, just to be in that glorious, wonderful place where we all shine so brightly. The monarch trees, the fish coming back to where they were,
like the salmon.
The
turtles.
Yeah, so many that just are led and are following.
I think that
and just recognize that natural draw.
Beautiful. Yes. I think that there is something to be said for, like in animals, that whatever it's called, it's like a survival instinct, but I know there's a word for it. I can't think of what it's called. But it's like in us, it's intuition. And we deny that intuition so much because we think we know better, because we are thinking creatures, and we do have choice. We have the ability to choose, do I want to be a butterfly or do I want to stay a caterpillar? And if we would just allow ourselves to be led by that intuition, instinct, that's the word, by almost, feeling like an animal would have instinct of pushing ourselves along based on what we're drawn to, we would fulfill our lives, just like a caterpillar would fulfill its life's purpose to become, a butterfly and be free. We would fulfill that as well. And I think we put too much emphasis on our own choice and not enough emphasis on just being led by that instinct or that intuition. Thank you. Laura, did you have something else? And then Crystal.
Yeah, just a quick thing. When I think it was Rachel was talking about, I've been in the cocoon a long time, and so clearly she's already a butterfly, but you know what? That's normal, right? No, seriously, we're in the cocoon as a butterfly for a while,
That's true.
right? And so there's nothing wrong. Like, and that's so important to understand in the process of change, is that, if you're engaged and you're in that space of intuition, right? Like you teach, and in unity with our Savior, with God within, like everything is okay. Like you're in the perfect place. And being in the cocoon for a while and maybe having a little crack, and then, some more time passes and the cocoon is still there, it's all perfect. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
So
you think about it
cocoon as a butterfly for a while. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a baby is fully formed and ready to be born, for a little while before it is actually born. And a chick, a baby chick is a chick when it cracks out of the shell. So it was already a chick before it cracked out. So very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. Crystal Crystal, and I know you have something to share as well, but I want to read what you have in the chat. We can choose fight, flight, freeze, or have faith, be free, and fly. That's cool. Thank you. What else would you like to share, Crystal?
Yeah, so in the particular trial that I'm having, I never knew about freeze. I always knew about fight or flight, but I have a hard time sometimes getting out of bed because I'm thinking about my situation. I just feel like frozen, and like some animals, they play dead to avoid an enemy. And I've just realized, that's the feeling that I'm having. But, when I get out of bed, I think of something that makes me happy or that I can do to help someone or something. And then I have that faith, and I'm free, and I'm flying. And the flying is the works that we do, like faith without works is dead. I am going to do works.
The scripture that I read this morning said something like the spirit or the body without the spirit is dead. And that is just another perspective. Faith without works is dead. So works is the body, faith is the spirit. So yeah, the faith inspires the works, but the works are, anyway, you get it. Thank you. I also had the thought that if you have a purpose behind what you're trying to do, get out of bed, for this instance, and for this example, if you have a purpose, a higher purpose than just putting your feet on the floor, then that kind of is more of an inspiration to get going and rising above, like climbing up to, a higher place, flying. That is, it gets us above that earthly drudgery of just getting out of bed, the doing the works. The faith kind of takes us up to that higher place so that we can actually do the works. Thank you. Betsy.
Yeah, I was thinking about, as you and Laura were talking about, the scientific process of the butterfly and the change process. I was really thinking about the wings of the butterfly, and how different to grow these amazing wings from a squirrely, squishy, crawly thing on the ground, as a caterpillar, and how beautiful they really are. And that the butterfly doesn't always, I don't believe, if I recall someone saying it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but let's just go with it, that the butterfly can't see her own wings. And that the creation of all the colors and the beauty, I mean, even moths are amazing. Like they're amazing. So my mother really loved butterflies, and recently I went through her estate after her passing last year, and never realized how many butterflies she really had, pins and jewelry and the various colors. And just like no two butterflies are alike, like our fingerprints. The wings of the butterflies are just gorgeous and beautiful. And anyone that's ever had a butterfly land on them or seen a butterfly, people just kind of stop and look like, oh, it's a butterfly. And the
Mhm.
butterfly is just out there doing its own thing. But the
Mhm.
butterfly is really there for everyone else. So all this beautiful
Mhm.
creation,
Wow.
from God's paintbrush to this butterfly wings, are for everyone around. So when I think about that, for me is, God created me so individually with all my different decades of goo that I get to carry forth with me to learn and grow from and be strong. And then the wings that I have on my back are for everyone else to see. And they just give me flight. And I just get to go do that because that's what the Lord assigned me. And so other people will say, oh, I like that purple. Oh, I like that pink. And just like you were talking about your call, different colors of my wings will resonate with different people.
Mhm.
Different things that God has given me will resonate differently. And, it's such a beautiful thing that what we're given in our trials are for other people. They're not always for us. And as we can be selfless in giving out, that's the beauty of why God has created us the way we are.
Beautiful. And just the courage of being seen, I think, is a really powerful piece of that. And I just feel like that is such a beautiful understanding. This is so great. This is a really great place for us to go ahead and shift over into our permission process. So I invite you to go ahead and take a deep breath and just allow yourself to just revel in all of these things that we've learned today. Just all the new understanding that has been opened up to us, has been broken open to us. And realizing our highest potential. And all we have to do really is just follow our instincts, follow our inspiration that will take us to our highest potential. And how much more easy could that be? That we don't even really have to find our way, that God has already created the path for us. And all we have to do is just allow Him to lead us, and that we will go through that process of change, become a new being that can soar, and not just for our own benefit, and not just, for us to see how great we've become, but for the benefit of others. I love that. Go ahead and take one more deep breath and just be open to add to everything that you've learned so far. Just continue writing whatever's coming to you. And listen also for two things. First of all, your inspired shortcut. This might all be coming to you in a rush. And just listen for, number one, those inspired shortcuts, the things that you can do today that will allow you to completely break out and to soar. Or maybe it's time for you to crawl up that branch and create and build your cocoon around you and quit being a creature of the earth and allow yourself to soar on a higher plane. And maybe you've been in that cocoon long enough, you've felt the crack of the cocoon, and all you have to do is just unfold those wings and just take flight. And maybe you have been flying for a while and you've been looking back, trying to see your own wings instead of looking around and seeing who could benefit from the beauty and the just the majesty and the magic and the joy that you can bring. So whatever stage you're in, whatever space you're in, I invite you to love it, feel gratitude for it, and also allow yourself to break open to higher understanding and to step into a higher level of learning and growth and sharing, being open to give and to receive. And then also listening for any limiting beliefs that might be showing up. And as you write those limiting beliefs down, also examine the cost of those limiting beliefs. And as you are recognizing the limiting beliefs and the cost associated with them, now's the chance to give yourself permission to choose something different. So if you're ready to let go of those limiting beliefs and choose something different, say yes.
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 Awesome. And then go ahead and take some time right now to choose some new beliefs, and remember that imagery of where you are in the stage of the caterpillar and the butterfly, and create your new beliefs around that imagery. So use some of those words of goo and changing your DNA, and caterpillar, rooting around on the ground, flying, being on a higher level, allowing others to see you. Use all of these words that we have described that serve you in creating your new beliefs, so that you've got that imagery to really anchor in these new beliefs with a visual that will help you to maintain and to help you change your DNA, change your identity based on these new beliefs that you're writing. And then breathe those new beliefs in, bring them into whatever stage you're in, allow it to give you more confidence, more courage, more joy, more gratitude in whatever stage you're in. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you to come back to the present. We are at the end of our time, but I do feel to allow some shares. I just want to share a couple things that have been said in the chat here. Laura says, wow, what an idea, Betsy. The butterfly can't see its own wings. I feel like that too. Crystal says, Betsy, that was amazing. Please put that in the Facebook gratitude page to help me paint and teach from your imagery. Beautiful. Crystal, you're always getting really great ideas for paintings on this call, and that is definitely a beautiful one. I also, if there's anybody that's feeling like they need some extra support in your journey, whatever stage you're in, I would love to have a conversation with you. Just go to askwylene.com and you can schedule a 15-minute call, a free mentoring session. I would love to have that call with you. askwylene.com. And maybe just one or two short, quick shares on your experience today. Laura.
So this is something that I've just been remembering today, and I just wanted to share. It's just kind of funny. I was about, I don't know, maybe 16 or 17, and I was teaching Sunday school class, okay? And there were 5-year-olds. And I was trying to explain, we were talking about Jesus, and I was talking about how Jesus is like a butterfly, right? That, you know, he went into the tomb and he emerged alive again in a whole new form. And so I was using the butterfly as an analogy. And this one little boy could not grasp that it was an analogy. And the whole rest of the day, he was like, Jesus is a butterfly? I'm like, no, Jesus is not a butterfly. He's like, Jesus is a butterfly? I always remembered that. By George, I could not convince that child that Jesus was not a butterfly. He was on it.
Oh, wow.
So I just had to share that.
Thank you. That's
yeah,
perfect.
in a way, it's we are that image of Christ, right? As we go through this process and emerge from the tomb. So the cocoon is a tomb.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why God wasn't leading me to share that story, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes we do get trapped in this image, you know, our own image of Jesus as a butterfly. You know, it's like,
so hilarious.
Yeah, we have to be able to let some of those things go. Kathy.
I was just thinking how sometimes I just feel like I don't want anybody to see my goo. And ooh, what if I still have some of that goo on me? So looking at the difference between the differences and similarities between judgment and comparison. And because I'm hiding in my goo, maybe I'm noticing other people's goo too, and it's not pretty. And so I just getting out of that, just letting everybody shine and see the glory in everyone, and curiosity of what other people see in me.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of going back to what Betsy was saying too, as soon as we get out of our own goo, that means we've emerged. We've left the cocoon behind, and the goo is either dried or the air blew it away or whatever. And then we can't see our own beauty even anymore as well as other people can. So it's like you quit seeing goo and you start looking out, and quit looking at your own self and start looking out. And, we know if you can, as long as you're like concentrated on yourself, you can't see other people, or you can't see other people. You can only see, other people's flaws, maybe, like you said. But yeah, if we get out of the goo, that means we're flying, and we can't even really, we don't even look at ourselves anymore as much.
Well, and the other thing that was coming up was the butterfly's not done once it's a butterfly.
Right.
Filling the measure of our existence and seeing what that butterfly still needs to go and plant the seeds for the next generation.
Yeah, true. Laura says, love the goo, stage 2. Yeah, that's super important as well. Thank you. Well, I know we have probably lots of other shares that could happen, but we need to end our call. So I encourage you to go to our Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude, share your thoughts there. And super excited for where we get to go from here. I mean, this is like totally broken open, lots of new things that we get to create. So thank you all for being on this call. You were the perfect people to be here to have this conversation. I just love you all. We'll look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we'll see you then. Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Love you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. We'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.